नहमदु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली रब्बना ज़िदना इल्मा अल्लाहुम्मा फ़क़्क़िहना फ़िद्दीन. Inshallah, today we will be starting from ayat number 215 Surah al-Baqarah. 215 talks about the optional sadaqat, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Muslim ideas about, because we know what zakat is, right? And now when people want to spend more money in the way of Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps Muslims figure out what are the different ways in which they can spend money, and that is called the optional or voluntary sadaqahs. So let's read the ayah. Yas'alunaka. The root is sa'al, sin hamza lam, which means question. They ask you. Maza, what? Yunfiquna. Noon fa qaf is the root, which means to spend. So they are asking you what they should spend. Qul, say. Prophet Sassam is told to say ma, whatever anfaqatum, noon fa qaf, min khairin, from the good. Khair, the word khair is often used for mal, money, assets. Basically, it does not have to be only the used stuff, the used clothes and stuff that comes to our mind from charity or sadaqah. So min khairin is usually like a lot of money and stuff. Then lil walidaini, number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions walidain, which is a proof that this ayat does not talk about zakat, because zakat, everyone is not eligible for zakat, and parents don't come under that list. This is also not for the parents who are poor or needy, because for that you do not have to wait for doing sadaqah on them. It is something that is obligatory on people. If the parents are poor and needy and they need something like food or medicine or basic clothes or rent or something, then it is not considered optional for a child to help them. It should be something that is further on them. So this is considering like what the gifts that you can bring to them, to be just something that can bring a smile to them. Besides, these are not none of the needs that are mentioned over here. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions walidain, it means that you are spending more than after you're done spending on your family, you've covered all the basics, you've provided for your spouse and children. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts this ayat by yas'alunaka. It means that many of the companions were coming and asking Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that after paying the zakat, even if we have more money left, what should we do and where should we spend with it after like we are covered with our basics, our needs and wants. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions walidain. So bring things that, because in your whole life, parents have spent on children, mostly for children. And most parents, they sacrifice their own needs just to provide better things for children. Better schooling, better clothing, if they have shoes, some kind of sports shoes, some kind of toys. So there must be many places where they must have. And so now it is our turn, it is your turn to bring things when you have extra money, and bring things that you can think of which will make them happy. All right, and then we'll talk about the second on the list, wal aqrabin. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions spend on relatives as well. And again, when there is need, we cover that first. And we are considering over here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning for those companions and for those people who have paid zakat and who have helped their relatives also in their times of extreme needs. So this is of course, again, there will be the relatives who are not so well off, they still spend more money on them, but it is also for all the relatives. Basically, it is talking about also the gifts, and when you visit them or when you are attending some of their maybe wedding ceremony or some other occasion, when you are traveling also, instead of thinking that, oh my God, there are so many relatives and every time I go I have to bring gifts for everyone, and of course that adds up. And that is a lot of money, but whatever your budget allows you, you should be happy to spend, and next time shaitan whispers the thing that, this is like a lot of money spent on just bringing things for relatives. You can think of this ayat Surah Al-Baqarah 215, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has encouraged, actually recommended, that we spend and give gifts to the relatives. Things to keep in mind at this point is that sometimes people like to show off that, okay, I'm living here and I only buy branded and stuff. Those, do not get into the show off thing. Do not go into any kind of competition. Don't go into any kind of comparison that they give me this standard of gift, so I will also just give them a low standard thing, or thinking that, oh, these cousins are not so like well off, then I should just give them something low quality, and the other ones who will know what different brands are, I should give them this. So try to be just among your relatives. Of course, sometimes you are more attached to some people. Of course, there is a level of friendliness is different, but don't compare people based on their financial status. Look at what you can afford, inshallah, and what you can give comfortably, and be more generous, and think about how many rewards you will get for doing this, because you're actually following the ayat from the Quran. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions yatama. So over here again, of course, if they are poor, spend. There is orphans in all countries now. It's more easy to help the orphans than it was ever before. So it's not like you've only have to help from zakat. You can still, if you have money, you can help more orphans, and if they are not needy orphans, and if they are taken care of by very wealthy uncles or aunts or somebody, so even if their needs are taken care of, then still think of the loss that they've gone through, and try to bring a smile to their face. Try to bring anything extra, even if they have basics covered. They have the clothes, they have the shoes, they have the food and the schooling, and everything is covered. Try to give them things. Just think about how you treat your children. Even if they have clothes, you buy something just because you like it. Even if they have toys, you buy something because they point towards it and they just insist that they want this toy, right? So you don't count that you already have this. Oftentimes we just buy things because, okay, it's Eid, because they were fasting, because this, because that. So orphans also, they've lost their parents. So it's not like as soon as they lose their parents, the children, they just are mentally set to only have their needs covered. It's not like they don't like toys anymore. It's not like they don't like fancy things anymore. Okay, so spend on them. And then wal masakin are needy and poor. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them over here. So we don't think that, okay, if I have paid my zakat, then I don't need to help out anyone else who's asking for money, or who I think needs money, or if there is a fundraiser going on for some friend is trying to collect money for some one of their poor relative, or another friend who is in need, or somebody going through a very hard time, and you're just trying to help them. If somebody just lost their job and they're still looking for a job and not able to pay the rent, so don't think that, okay, I'm done with my zakat, so now I can't, because sometimes these people are not even zakat eligible. They have the gold and stuff, but which they are not selling right away. So you've got to help them, and you can do that from the sadaqat as well. So there are families who are again not zakat eligible, but they do not buy very fancy stuff, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to make them happy also. For example, if there is Eid, then buy something really nice for this family, where the chocolates that they would not usually buy. Making somebody happier is something we can do if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with more money. And then wabni sabil. So the literal meaning of this word is wabni means son, and sabil means way. So the son of the way means the traveler. So again, if the traveler is even wealthy at his home, but if somebody is traveling, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has encouraged us to be very hospitable, to be very welcoming, to be very kind, to be very generous to the person who's traveling. We should, if somebody is staying with us, we should be very welcoming to them. We should greet them very nicely. We should try to accommodate them and their needs as much as possible. If they have small kids and babies, we should try to help them, ask them if there is anything we can help them with. And if they are not staying with you, then try to invite them, try to take them places, and give them rides. And don't think that okay, they already have, they should have included this in their budget, why should I spend so much money or my time? But this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you. Every time this kind of thought comes to your head, you have to think that I'm just following the command that is given to me in ayat 215 in Surah alBaqarah. Because sometimes people think that okay, if they are traveling, they should have known this, and they should decide, they should plan better, and do this and that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us specifically over here that we should be generous to them. So take them to places to eat, or take them to see different places in your city, and guide them if they need help. And in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions wama, and whatever taf'alu fa'aylam, you do your actions min khairin, from the good, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ, indeed Allah, bihi, of about it, alim, he is knowledgeable, he has the knowledge of that. So Allah does not miss or ignore anything. Whatever good you do, does not necessarily have to be with only money. Of course, it started off with how to spend more money if we have, after paying off the zakat as well. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that even if you don't spend so much money, the generosity, the character, the kindness that comes, it is a better sadaqah. And we were even studying the ayat related to sadaqah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that even if there is going to be a sadaqah which is going to be followed by some kind of unkind words or something that is going to be harsh, then it's better to just be nice, just use good words. Okay, so people who are traveling, they might need some advice, how to make the itinerary, where to go. Just help them out with that. Just try to save their money as well. Just try to don't just shrug your shoulders and think that, oh, they have lots of money, they'll figure out, no worries, I don't have to waste my time on that. Some people do that. Some people think that okay, if I'm visiting back home, why should I spend so much money in bringing gifts for everyone? And in the same way, people often think for orphans, if they are well off already, I don't have to worry about that. I should only think about people who are poor. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, and this is a huge mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us ideas to spend sadaqah even besides zakat. Otherwise, we would never have thought that okay, we should do this as well. Then inshallah, ayat number 216, kutiba is prescribed, written, alaykum, upon you. Alaykum is made of two words, ala and kum. Al-qitalu, qital. So kutiba means, prescribed means it is made fard, and at this time we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made it fard for them. There are different types of fard ibadat as well, fard worship as well. Fard an means something that has to be done by everyone. Fard kifaya is something that needs to be done by somebody in the community, by some people. And one more example of fard kifaya is like the funeral prayer, the salatul janaza. If one person from the entire neighborhood also prays, then of course that person gets a reward, but the others are protected from the sin. But if nobody attends from the community or from that neighborhood or from that group of people, then everyone gets the sin of not doing it, because fard means something that has to be done, but fard kifaya is something that if everyone else cannot do it, then at least one person is doing it. But for the an means it is everyone, so it is for everyone, just like salat, normal 5 times prayers is for the an, for all of us. Over here it seems like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it for Muslims, and we know that at different times of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, when he had commanded everyone to join, and when it was just recommended to join. Over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentally preparing the Muslims in Medina who had migrated from Mecca because of all the oppression from Meccans, from the polytheists of Mecca. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing them mentally that now it is going to be the time to fight with the non-Muslims. And we see that some of the Muslims were not ready for it. Some of them who were very passionate about fighting in Mecca, and Prophet ﷺ had to stop them that it is not ordained on us. We are not allowed to fight back at this time. And so some of the Muslims were not very pleased with the idea of fighting or any kind of war, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing them. So kutiba alaykum, written for you, upon you, is qital. Qital, as I explained, is the actual branch of jihad where the fight is involved, fight in the battleground. So jihad, as it is usually taken to be the fight, jihad actually means to struggle or to strive. And it could be of any kind. It could be somebody just striving to be able to pray all 5 salat, somebody striving who's good with all 5 salah, but they are wanting to add tahajjud and ishraq in their schedule, in their routine. Somebody could be striving to lose the habit of backbiting, gossiping, all those things. And striving or jihad is also by qalam, meaning somebody who has good writing skills. They write books or they write for Islam. And it could be somebody who can teach, so by teaching or by spreading Islam, by outreach. So there are many types of jihad, and qital is one of the types in which it is fighting in the way of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions kutiba alaykumul qitalu, and wahuwa, while it is kurhun lakum. Kurh, kafraha, means disliked. Something that you're not liking it, something that is hateful, lakum, for you. So over here we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions qital, and then Allah mentions how that He knows how the Muslims are feeling about it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the next part of this ayat 216 is very beautiful, and it can be applied to any aspect in our life. So let's first read it. Wa asa, and perhaps, an, that, takrahu, kafraha, that you dislike, shay'an, one thing, wahuwa, while it is, khairun, good, lakum, for you. So it's possible that you don't like something, but it is good for you. And the second part, wa asa, and perhaps, an, that, tuhibbu, hababa, that you really like, you love, shay'an, a thing, wahuwa, however it is, sharrul lakum, it is bad for you. So as I said, it can be applied to any aspect of our life, anything that we want to do. Sometimes we really want to get a job somewhere, or to be able to get to live in a certain country, or to marry somebody, or to get admission in certain university, or to be able to do something, a project or something, or to be able to buy a certain dress, and we are not able to. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that it is possible that you really want to do something, but it is bad for you, and that's how Allah stops you. Allah has the knowledge for that. And vice versa, you don't like something, you don't like the person your parents chose for you, or you don't like the company where you got the job, and you did not get the job in the company that you really wanted to. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining to us, and this is a very beautiful way of coming to peace with things, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes a stress from us by telling us that it is possible that this will happen. But let's read the last part of ayat number 216. Wallahu, and Allah, ya'lamu, He knows, He has the ilm, lam mim, wa antum, and you, la, do not, ta'lamun, you don't have the ilm, you don't know. So probably Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects us from the things that apparently we like and we don't see any harm in it. and we are just wanting to do that so much that we feel bad when we don't get that, we don't achieve it. And in the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that you don't have the complete knowledge, while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the complete knowledge, and Allah knows why you end up with something that you don't like and you don't get something that you really, really like. Then ayat number 217, yes, alunaka, they ask you about ash-shahr al-haram. Shahr means month, haram means the sacred months. So basically, what was the question from the companions now? Because we talked about the qital, right, which is the fighting in the way of Allah. So now they're asking about fighting in the sacred months. Qital, fight, fihi, in it. So the companions asked the Prophet ﷺ if it is okay, how is it to fight in the sacred months. And what were the sacred months? The Qada, Zul-Hajjah and Muharram, 3 consecutive, and then the Rajab. So these were the established sacred months since the time of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And why were they considered sacred? Because these were the months when the 3 months, Zul-Qada, Zul-Hajj and Muharram, were for Hajj, because the caravans used to travel and it would take them long times to come and Zul-Hajj and then leave to take 1 month. So it was established that the caravans will not be attacked during these months, so they can come peacefully, because they would be coming for worshipping. And so the companions asked Prophet ﷺ that what if there is fight, how is it to fight during these months? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet ﷺ the answer, and through him all the people. Qul, say, qitalun, fighting, fihi, in it, meaning in these 4 months, kabir, it's really bad, it's a big deal, it's huge, it's not a good idea. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will in the second part tell us that what is even worse. Wa, and saddun, so dal, hindering, stopping, and from sabilillahi, from the way of Allah, number 1. So this, wa, and kufrun, and not believing bihi, in him, not believing in Allah. And third, wal masjidi, and from the masjid al-haram, from the masjid al-haram, what, wa ikhraju ahlihi, and kharaji, meaning exit, exile, turning driving somebody out, and ikhraju ahlihi, and driving out its people who lived there, minhu, from it, akbar. So Allah is saying it is really big, really bad to fight in the sacred months, but what is even worse is stopping people from the deen of Allah, not believing yourself, and then also driving people out and pressing them so much that they have to leave the place. So that is akbar. So kabir means big, and akbar means the superlative degree, which means even bigger, the worst. That is the worst. And the lahi, in the eyes of Allah, near Allah. Wal fitnatu akbar, and the fitna and the oppression, fatanun akbar, it is very big. Minal qatl, compared to the qatl. So fighting is not good, but the fitna is really bad. So you need to fight. Basically, the answer, the solution that is shown in here is that it is understandable that fighting is not a good idea, especially during the sacred months, but what they do is so much worse that it is needed. Wala, and not yazaluna, zai waw lam, meaning they will stop, yuqatilunakum, from killing you, from fighting against you. Qafta lam is the root. Hatta, until, yaruddukum, ra dal rad, to, until you're turned away. Basically, Allah is telling them that even if you will not fight them, they are going to keep fighting until they turn you away from your religion. So, wala yazaluna, they will not stop, they will not cease, yuqatilunakum, the fight with you, hatta, until, yaruddukum, ra dal, they will rad you, they will turn you, and from dinikum, from your religion, in istata'u, if they are able, istata'a, if they have the istita'at, if they are able to, wa and man whoever yartadid. Now this is the last part, is a message for the Muslims who maybe will not fight, and because of the persecution may turn away from their religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is already telling them, warning them, that whoever turns away, murtad is the word also derived from that. So whoever turns away, minkum, among you, meaning from the religion, an dinihi, in his religion, for then yamut, mim vav tam, and then he dies, maut, and then he dies in that situation. Wahuwa kafir, while he is kafir, while he is while he has become a kafir. So he's a Muslim right now, and somebody who turns away from the religion and then dies in the same condition that he is kafir. فَأُولَٰئِكَ, then what will happen? For those, habitat, habatwa, meaning wasted, a'maluhum, their amal. All their amal or their deeds will be completely gone. They will be wasted. في الدنيا والآخرة, in this dunya also and in the akhirah. Nothing will be counted. It's not like the few years that you were Muslim, all the good deeds will be counted. Nothing will be counted. وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ, and they will be ashab, the companions of the nar, of the fire. And they will go to fire, hum fiha khalidun, and they will live there forever. Khalam dal. So it is not going to be counted that, okay, they were Muslims for some time. It will be whatever condition they die in, that will be counted as if that they lived their whole life like that. And then last ayat for today, innal lazina, on the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever he talks about the people of the hellfire, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions the people of Jannah, or those who struggle in the positive direction. Innal lazina, indeed those who amanu, believed, wal lazina, and those who hajaru, those who do the hijrat, hajimra, the migration, wajahadu, and they strive, jim hadal, fi sabilillahi, in the way of Allah. Then what will happen? Why do they do it? Ulaika, those, yarjuna, rajim baw, they are hopeful, rahmatallahi, of the rahmat of Allah. Because when people keep striving, they know that even if they are not able to accomplish all their goals, they are still striving, keep on working hard, because they are hopeful that Allah will have mercy on them. Because of their strife, because of their hard work, Allah will still reward them. So what does Allah tell us about them? Wallahu ghafurur rahim, and Allah is for them ghafurur rahim. Allah constantly keeps on removing their sins by because of the word ghafur, because of Allah's name. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cleanse them, He will forgive them all the mistakes that they will do in the way, because the intention is clear. They are striving in the way of Allah, and He will be Rahim. He will be merciful at all times, repeatedly merciful. Okay, so in this ayat, the action items are related to Sadaqah, to spend, and we understand that it is not that after you've paid your zakat, you just keep your money to yourself. It is still a Muslim's character is that they are very generous. They keep spending. They don't just say that, okay, we are going to be spending on whoever the poor and needy are. They are very generous with their family, with their parents, with their relatives, and even if there are more causes after they've paid zakat, they are not going to stop giving in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are very hospitable and welcoming. Another thing I wanted to touch was the types of jihad. I have mentioned to you that there are many types of jihad. Just naming a few, some of them have phrases in Arabic as well, like jihad bin nafs, which is the internal struggle against the desires, right? And I told you, like, maybe if somebody sleeps a lot and they are having difficulty, even like having fajr prayers, so that is also jihad bin nafs. Or somebody has difficulty stopping the anger or lying, the habit of gossiping. All these things are what your internal desires are. Even like not very generous, not very easy. It doesn't come very easy for some of us to be able to spend money, and we just want to give only the old broken things. to others. So this is jihad bin nafs, and then jihad bil mal. Okay, sometimes things overlap. So jihad bil mal is also spending money, also as sadaqah, but also in the outreach at, okay, more Quran are needed for new Muslims, or giving a gift to somebody who's a new Muslimah, so just to welcome them and encourage somebody who is coming towards Islam, or who's trying to learn towards Islam. So give them things that will encourage them to ask more questions, and give them literature or spend money in those things as well. Then jihad bil ilm, with your knowledge. So if you have knowledge, try to spread that, and but this has to come with wisdom. You cannot just the difference between rain and flood. So do not overwhelm somebody. And then jihad will amal is also with your actions, with how your character is, how you treat others, and then that's how people will be attracted towards Islam. That, okay, I've dealt with Muslims and they are really nice, they're honest people, they don't deceive others, they are very good with their promises, and they are not liars, and they don't get angry, they're very composed. So all these amals are also a jihad. We are striving into spreading Islam because of how we act. Okay, and then jihad with saif means sword, so that is what is also qital. So you will see different kinds of names, but at no level jihad does not mean just like how the propaganda goes against Muslims, that it is nothing to do with forcing people to become Muslims, or having killing innocent people or civilians, and all those things are not allowed in Islam. So we have to understand that jihad just means striving. It could be internal or external. Internal is also spiritual, which is jihad al-nafs, or fighting with the shaitan, and the external is where we are actually showing. Maybe it could be with the qalam, with your pen, because jihad bil qalam is when you write. Jihad bil lisan means tongue, with your tongue. So if you know how to tell something, to explain something, or to teach, or to present, or just forwarding something, like if you're attending others, if you're attending a group and that's benefiting you, just use your tongue, and that is also striving in spreading Islam and telling them that you should join this next time. So these are some of the ways. I will also try to post something that will give you a written explanation of that. Other than that, what I wanted to touch was the second action item that we did today was related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's counseling for us, that you might want something, you might like something, and that is not good for you, and you might not like something, and that is not good for you, and Allah knows and you do not know. So when we did the course, we were made to make a list of things that usually we don't like for ourselves, and usually what we like for ourselves, and that makes things very easy to practice on this ayat. And it's very different to just read the theory and we say, yes, yeah, we understand, Allah knows everything. But the next time we go through something, we look at our nose and we say, oh, I wish I did not have this kind of nose. I had a beautiful nose, or I had this complexion. Why do I have this complexion? Why is my metabolism so slow? Or why do I have only girls? And why did Allah not give us, sons? Or many things that I've already covered, like the admission somewhere, or getting a job somewhere, and getting married to somebody, and then looking at your own class fellows and thinking that, oh, they're doing so well, and what am I doing? She's working and I'm just making food for like so many people. So try to write down those things. You don't just have to write down things that you are already going through, but look around you. Maybe you have the beauty but somebody else doesn't. Then it makes you more humbled that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you something, and maybe other people would feel deprived of that. So make a list if possible for you. That way your brain will be able to connect easily, quickly, and there will be not even a second of disappointment, sadness, because sometimes even if we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and that is why we are given what we are given, but we keep on feeling bad and sad for a very, very long time. It is very easy for many of us to say that, okay, so what, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave daughters and they are a source of mercy. But it is difficult sometimes for people to accept that. Sometimes people have very good mix of children, but one of them is handicapped. Somebody has some kind of problem physically or mentally, or somebody is having a very good life, but the spouse suddenly goes through a very big disease or some accident happens. So many times this question comes in our mind: why me? Why did this happen to me? But keep in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows and we do not know. And when we can't change things, it is better to focus and to be able to, work on it and get the rewards when dealing with that. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us go through some things that are not something apparently that we like, but Allah raises our darajat so much, our levels so much in Jannah, that that it is known that sometimes when we don't get something that we want in this world, in the akhirah, when that dua will be answered, we will wish that that none of my duas were answered in dunya. It will be answered so beautifully. And when people on the day of judgment will see the levels and the greeting and the honor that will be given to the people who've spent their life in any kind of compromise, any kind of misery, and the others will see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors them and respects them because of their patience and still the gratitude, then they will wish that they could go back to the world and their skin would be cut with scissors. I mean, they would wish that they were given difficulty in this small, tiny world as compared to what they're getting in the permanent world. So if you keep these things in mind, if you make a list and think that it's okay, whatever I have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already written that for me even before I was born. So when we are in the womb of our mother, things are already written for us. Some of them. Of course, we are told to still work hard because that is what our account will show, how we dealt with things. That is what our account will show, of account of good deeds and bad deeds. But our risk means everything, not just the food and the income, but everything. The place where we study, the place we get married, the children, the boss that we have, the colleagues, the friends, everything is written. So whatever we deal with, just our reaction is what matters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us, we should make dua still, and whatever we end up with, we have to have the courage to accept that in such a way that we can focus on availing good higher levels because of that, inshallah. All right, jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.